All right. Everybody, it's time again. Okay. Welcome. I'm going to wear my let me set up my YouTube. It's not set up. Okay, when they come, we'll know. Ndoma, ndewonu, Seku Foods. Ndinkem, ndewonu. Aye, bidokwalano. All right, let's share. I don't feel like we're doing Instagram today. Alrighty. I need one more lights. Okay. Because now batun na yara can share the live. Who else is here? We ended our meeting so late today, and that's why I'm still setting up. But I'm sure we are not too late. Okay, we have additional lights. Aha. We have additional lights. All right. Good people joining us. Welcome. Ana m anabata unu niile ndị na-esonye anyị. Daalụkwanụ Isabella Abraham. You are welcome. You're welcome. Waiting for other students to join. I think we're going to do well today. All right. Okay. Setting this up now. Okay. Where are all my YouTube fans? Taa bụ abalị iri abụọ na atọ nke ọnwa abụọ n'afọ. Chizzy, daalụ. Odoziakụ ụmụnna Joy, daalụkwa. Let me share this on, okay, TikTok for Nkuzi Igbo to join. All right. Those that are on YouTube, I understand that not everything on the board seems very clear because of the distance. And sincerely, I Anama Cheesy. Cheesy, I'll go first. You can first. Nobody will take that away from you, Cheesy. All right. I'm making sure that everything is clear. I'm making sure. All right, please let's share. Let's share the live, please. Let's share. Let's share. Z, how are you? All right. Ndị nọ na YouTube, daalụ, ndewonu. Ọ Chizi gbara first. Onwe ya na ya na-azị azọ. Bikono, yeah, it looks like the board seems far for you on YouTube. That is because I'm using a laptop, and the laptop, the camera of laptop and that of my phone camera, they're not the same. So that is a challenge. But please, Nagide Noai, if you are joining from YouTube. Okay. I na-anabata mmadụ niile. Navela, you're welcome. Emere m ka anyị mara na ụbọchị taa na anyị ga-ebido isiokwu ọhụrụ. That today we are starting a new topic. Because if you are on YouTube, share with your content that we have started. If you are on TikTok, the same thing. Kesara no ndị ụmụnne na ụmụnna anyị ndị kwesịrị na ebe a na our different WhatsApp groups. Gwa ha na anyị ebidola. We have started. Anyị ebidogo. Ọ dịghị mma ka ụmụ akwụkwọ na-abịa akwụkwọ n'azụ oge. Ya, ahịrịokwu Igbo ka anyị na-amụ n'ụbọchị taa. Ya ka anyị ga-ebido. Ya ka anyị ga-ekwu maka ya gawa n'ihu. Anyị ga-amụte ya aka n'ihi na ọ bụ isiokwu ọzọ nke na-emetụta na ihe gbasara odide Igbo. We remember that in this class, we are focused on teaching ourselves how to write Igbo correctly. Yanwa ka iji gbakọ ebe a. Choma daalụ o, ndewo. Biko ị na-abata unu na-ekesa nkuzi anyị na-eme ebe a. Peter Crazy, ọwa aha gị, ndewo. Gịnị wee ezigbo aha gị, Peter Crazy? Unu ewerela m iwe ka m mapụta ime n'ihi na oyi dị. All right. Because as you join, help us share the live. All right. Isiokwu anyị n'ụbọchị taa bụ ahịrịokwu Igbo. Mmadụ niile, ahịrịokwu Igbo. Ọzọkwa, ahịrịokwu Igbo. Ọ bụ na ọ dị mma What's your name? Bube 98 or what? Is it like Bube? Neme gwam aha ezigbo aha gị o. Onye jụrụ m kedu. Ọ dị mma. Ọ dị mma. No ya anyụọla anyị anya ebe a. No be small thing. Chizi, oge nwa kwuru. Oye mechiela anyị ike. Okay, nna aha gị Ebube. Is that Ebube or Bube? Kedu nke ịchọ ka anyị kpọọ gị? Beautiful. This is the right place. Ebube, daalụ o. Ama m na ọ wụ Ebube Chukwu. Ebube, I would like you to tell us the meaning of your name. Fortunately, I'm starting our conversation today with issues concerning names. Okay. Ebube, what is the meaning of your name? Yeah, my dear Chize. Yeah, the videos are scary in so many states, and the code surge is not friendly to our body. All right, the glory of God. Koronu Ebube Aka. Ebube, I'm glad you know the meaning of your name. And I'm also glad you're here to learn Igbo. Dika nwa for Igbo Igbo. Ama m n'iso na ụmụafọ Igbo ndị na-eto na mba. So many of our Igbo young people are growing outside of the Igbo land, where they have an easy access to or early exposure, where they are supposed to have early exposure to the language, the cultural knowledge. This is not happening because of the issue of so many young Igbo people being born outside of Igbo land. That is why we are doing this. That is why we created Igbo Literacy Project. And that is why we created Omenka app. So Ebube, I'm addressing you. If you're here for the first time, this teaching is brought to you by Omenka app. And Omenka app is available on your Play Store and Apple Store. Love. Igbo abroad is used for adults to speak and their children not to hear them. You are right. All right. Thank you that you're using Omenka app already. I would encourage you to concentrate on learning Igbo words the way we produce them on Omenka app. So beautiful. But beyond that, I'm going to be introducing us today as an intro to another aspect of the app that we are producing that is still ongoing, but I think is accessible by users today. That is a category, the section that deals with Igbo names, especially the last names. Onumarana, I'm going to speak more of this in English as well, so that the likes of Ebube will understand me well. Onumarana, ọtụtụ n'ime anyị, we are bearing last names that are no longer in use, that are no longer being named. And I'm going to use my own last name as an example. My last name is Asonye. Some will say is Asonye. And my last name has one or two connotations. And the connotations derivable of my last name could be, who do we fear? Or who are we afraid of, if you want to say so? Or who should we avoid? So it's a question. And you can also derive this from the third, from this. You can even say, who can we trust? In that case, right, that is my last name, Asonye. Asonye. Now, my father bore Asonye before he died. Jaja, my sister, you're welcome. Me, my family, my siblings, and I are bearing Asonye. Okay. And my father is late. Ndewo Jaja. And I and my siblings were growing. We are all adults. And my children, they are not bearing Asonye directly. They are bearing Asonye in addition with my name. Hey, Crystal, Kedo, you're welcome. Dalo. And after my children, I possibly expect that my children may not bear Asonye. They may bear the names of their fathers. I have 3 sons and 2 daughters. So the 3 sons are the ones that are going to Chidimadalu Dewo. My 3 sons are the ones that are going to retain my last name by the convention of Igbo culture, right? Ọ ụmụ m ndị nwoke bụ ndị ga-aza aha m, bụ ndị ga-aga n'ihu ịza aha nna m ma ọ bụ aha m. Ndị nke nwanyị aha ha nwere ike ịgbanwe ma ha lụọ di dịka ọ dị n'ala Igbo. Now, ọ bụrụ na ụmụ m ndị nwoke, if they choose when they have children that their children will answer their direct names. And then this same thing is happening with my other brothers. I have 5 brothers alive, and we have 1 sister who is the oldest, the first. Hey, Beatrice Dalo. All right, Crystal. There we go. All right, Crystal, let me correct you immediately so that I don't forget it, okay? The correct way to write your response to me is this. Adam ma. And you must write it with the a and the verb together. And I would like you to rewrite it, okay? Let me see the corrected form. Anytime that you want to respond is Adam ma. You should write it that way. Usekufus as well. Written it there. All right. So, and this same trend will go on with my siblings. Their children will possibly bear their names. In the next few years, what will happen to Asonye as a name? It will disappear. It will disappear. Why? Because no other person in my family will be bearing Asonye. The 3rd, 4th generation will no longer bear Asonye. And that's it. And this is a trend that is happening to virtually all our last names. Ihe a bụ ihe na-eme aha nna anyị niile. Whatever last name you are bearing now, if it is an old Igbo last name, not these Gen Z English last names or English Igbo last names that are named these days. If it is an old Igbo last name, all of them are gradually fizzling out. Chizzy, Chizzy na-ajụ m ajụjụ, aga m agụpụta ya. Dọkịta biko ka m jụọ gị, ị nwere ike ịrụ app maka ụmụ Igbo nke ga-adị ka Shanghai Marriage Markets, Dinner, the People's Park Shanghai, Yana Long-Term Park Beijing. Chizọrọkwa ka mụ na gị ga-enwe mkparịta ụka na echiche gị ahụ. Chizi, ka m ghọtacha ihe ị na-ekwu. Mana Omenka app bụ app nke anyị mepụtara ka o nwee ike ịrụ ọrụ niile dị iche iche. Ụfọdụ n'ime ihe ndị na-anaghị ahụ na app ahụ ugbu a bụ ihe ndị anyị ka na-emepụta, anyị ka na-arụpụta ha arụpụta, mana anyị ga-asị na mgbe na-adịghị anya unu ga-ahụ ọtụtụ ihe ga-abata na app ahụ. Okay, and we'll see, make it an app instead of a real location, but let the participants be grouped according to the exactly. Cheesy, this is coming up on Omenka app. In fact, no be flesh and blood revealed that to you, Cheesy. Thank you, my sister. All right. Love, some of my uncles changed their last names. Some said no, they must keep their names. Okay. Yeah. And I will come to that as well. Yeah. And Beatrice saying worse is people that prefer their children to take their English names as surnames. That's another thing going on. Right. So what am I saying? And I'm introducing this conversation today because of the topic. It is in line with the topic we are introducing today. Ahanai na nwa na lala. So no Omenka app today, we have a section we are documenting Igbo last names and their meanings. It is good if you still have your last name, retain your Igbo last name. Now, some of us, even from my generation, even before my generation coming down, many of our children are now answering our English names as last name. But the girls can still keep your name and add the one of their spouse. Yes. If they choose to, especially these days that we're having celebrities, yes, that can happen. So, to make sure I'm following, the app isn't finished, but yes, the app is a work that is ongoing. My parents refuse to give me English anything. Is it English then? That is beautiful. Sincerely, if I knew what I know now, I would have written my children's Igbo names as their first name. But by the time I had my children, I was following the trend of my parents, which has been a very serious setback for us all who are raised as Christians. It is Christianity that is a direct attack on our names, especially if you are in a church that believes in baptizing a child and changing their name. Okay, that is the first number one issue that we started having. And I'm 90 neighbor, ndewo Uzalo Rose. I'm 90 neighbor, ndinne na nna ha. Yes, my parents said, what? Of course. Yeah, so I project my children's first Igbo names. But because it was their English names were written in the school back home in Nigeria, even before we moved, but when I was writing their names in the school, it was one of them that I decided to write his Igbo name for whatever reason, and that's the way it has changed. It has become his first name. But what I'm doing today, like I'm telling all of us, I'm making an effort to walk back my lack of knowledge in the past. Okay? So, yes, Crystal, that was a question. The colonial mentality wouldn't allow them to give the child another Igbo name when this trend was in vogue, the trend of amụọ nwa kpọga ya na ụlọ ụka, ọ ga-azasarịrị aha bekee n'ihi na ọ ga-aza aha otu sent ma ọ bụ nke ọzọ nọ na Bible, which was all a fallacy. And I'm glad younger people more attend this class, and it's highly important that I emphasize this. Right. Can you tell us more about your father and you and your children not bearing his own name? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Chizzy. All of these things are very important, rather, Jaja. Now I am giving orientation to my children to tell them the importance of their Igbo names and to also encourage them to adopt their Igbo names as their first name. Amaramna legally to start changing names might be a process, but it's a very intentional effort that anybody can do and take. Ihe gbasara asụsụ ndị nne ka ọ dịrị n'aka karịa ndị nna n'ihi na ha na-enwe closer affinity. But ihe gbasara idosa maọbụ ichekwa omenala, the traditions, are expected that men will do that more. That is where you now see the synergy of man and woman, husband and wife working together to make sure that the culture, the values of the cultural identity are retained in every family. But the problem we have is all of us are Christians. We are raised with the earlier Christian ideology that Ndocha butere anyị, whereby ọ bụ na ịza ya ahụ nọ na Bible, you are possibly not a heavenly candidate. Ọ bụ na ịza aha nna gị, the olden names, which they didn't care to know what their meanings are. O nwere ike ọ ya na-ebutere gị ihe ọjọọ. And I want to say this also of my father. I think that all of our people need to watch serious bloody Viking movies to see the people they are changing their Igbo names to their sanity names. I agree with you, Chizzy. Thank you for that. Then I want to go ahead and talk to you about my father. My father also was a Christian, and he eventually changed from Catholic to Pentecostal. Well, Crystal, you said it all, but then we were not told so. Crystal says it is strange because Igbo names are 90% biblical. So my father used to have, his Igbo name was Iromde, and I'm going to write it this way. It is Iromde. But I think they wrote it as Ironde. And it could also be Irode. Okay? And today, if you see anybody that answers Iro or Ilo, if the person is from Anambra, it could be this from my father's name. Ironde is my father's Igbo name. And his English name was Cyril. So my father was born when colonialism had happened. Yeah, and Iromde means I have enemies. Thank you, Seku Foods. I have enemies. Or there are enemies within, right? Or I exist in a world of enmity, right? Which is a factual thing. When my father got born again and changed into Pentecostal church, he started making efforts. Yep. Yeah, you're right. And Christ said literally names will mean God is able, God is my strength, God is my protector, and I know to throw that away is insanity. All right. And Cheesy says, I think that all our people, okay, I think that's detractors are bound as well. Yeah. Now, so when he wanted to make efforts, because now my father now believed that Iromde is not suitable for a Christian person, a Pentecostal Christian person like him. He did not completely expunge his Igbo name to adopt only the English. What he did was to change the Ironde, the word is, and gave his name Ihedimma. Okay. Ihedimma. But the problem with this move my father made was he made this move when he had started having children and they were already grown up. And Ihedimma is something good or good thing. And it is my opinion, he didn't explain this to us, but I'm using the knowledge I have now to, know this and share this. It is my opinion that he chose Ihedimma because he was looking for a name that would still give him his initial that he writes as C.I. Asonye. That's his initial. So he was looking for a name that will replace, that I, but that will not be Ironde. Well, it worked for my father alone. Ihe o mere naanị ya ka ọ bara uru, because it was only him that was writing it. No, hardly anybody recognized my father as Ihedimma. Ụmụnne ya na obi anyị na kindred anyị, those who used to call him Ironde still called him Ironde throughout his life. The rest called him his English name. So his effort towards changing Ironde to Ihedimma never worked outside of him alone. No effect, no impact. Now, I will praise my father first for, still retaining Igbo name, but changing it to something he believes was aligned with his new faith status. Even though Ironde literally has no bad connotation, no fetish connotation, no idolatry connotation, because ihe ndị ọcha gwara ha bụ aha Igbo anyị na-egosi ikpere arụsị. Aha Igbo anyị na-egosi ekpe iri Chukwu na ihe ndị ọzọ. Ihedimma has dual meaning, a good thing, light, beautiful, and all of that. Of course, many of our Igbo names has multiple connotations. Okay. Now, my siblings and I are answering our last name, which is our father's last name. Nobody answered Ironde because my father did not emphasize Ironde and never presented us, because it is you as a parent that will somehow present to your children the last name they will bear by the way they, you wanted to put it. Okay. Now, some of my siblings, their children still answer Asonye directly, while my children answer my first name and my last name together. What I'm trying to let us know is that in the next few years, Asonye will be fizzling out. And nobody from my lineage will answer Asonye anymore. And such a name with such a heavy connotation and meaning and significance in Igbo land, in my community, will begin to die. And very soon, nobody will remember Asonye again. What I'm sharing with us hardly happens to English names from the English world, from the Western world, where people answer ndị mmadụ na-aza all manner of nonsense. Ọhịa, bush, rice, osikapa, beans, ha niile, bottom, ike. Enweghị ihe a na-aza aza, oshishi, steak, tree, plant, all of this ndị ọcha na-aza. And they go ahead to retain these names from generation to generation to generation. Is the meaning not because it's Igbo? I don't know what you mean, chill. Is it that the meaning is wrong or right, good or bad? Okay. Call me Ada. Is it Ada Kedo? How are you? Thanks for joining. So you find out that tens of generations going, people in this part of the world who came in our part of the world to change, to impose their names, name method, and name practices on us. They retain theirs. Talk about the European world. Talk about the Romans that brought the Roman Catholic Church to us. All right. Why are Igbo names not easily transferable? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by not easily transferable. Is it from generation to generation? Beatrice. So talk about it, because this whole concept of baptism, change of name, was traditionally a Roman Catholic thing, right? If you got baptized in Catholic Church, you would automatically adopt or assume a so-called biblical name. All right, good. All right, so these people go back and retain their own names, and the names are as old as there. And while we are losing our own, I wouldn't say that Igbo names are not easily transferable, Beatrice, because what you ask is still the same question that I'm talking about, which is the problem of looking at our last names as bearing bad connotations. A lot of people who are churchgoers today have gone to their villages to do family and village deliverances that led to change of names. Like somebody said, their uncle, some of them changed their names outrightly while others refused. And somebody also pointed out that why is this happening when 90% of Igbo names even have biblical connotations? Igbo people renowned for trade and culture cannot retain business and crafts continuity beyond their own founders' lifetime. That is also a possibility and a fact. I will say, now that we have had this intro conversation, most English, in fact, most English names have one word meaning, not an entire phrase or deep meaning. And the problem is that many of them don't even have a meaning that you can even like say this is a name. Okay. I wanna be around, you've really had interactions with Indocha. Somebody will tell you, and so what's the meaning? I didn't even know. Oh, my grandmother gave me the name and they didn't tell me the name, the meaning. That is rubbish. Okay. Many young people really bear names that they don't know their meanings. It seems very, very, unnecessary, my sister. So we have the tradition of naming out of substantial, significant thing that happened in our lives, or experiences, or hopes and aspirations of our lives. Igbo people have the culture of naming. It is generally African, but Igbo people are one of those, especially going by the historical account of the Igbo as one of the most ancient, ethnic community that has existed in the entire world. Igbo people have the tradition of naming with deep meanings. Okay. Now, even before, okay, little Miss J is asking, who are the Igbo in the Bible? If anybody has that answer, please answer her. Who are the Igbo in the Bible? The Igbo are the people that God created as Igbo, and they have been as a people who knew God even before the Bible was written. But something happened. As soon as 1800, the dawn came, we became closer to something that would happen that would want to change us forever. And as we were entering into the 1900s, when all the Nigerian areas were, exactly, thank you, Theophilus, all the Nigerian areas were being conquered, and then finally Igbo. And then we fell to the powers of colonialism, and all of this started changing. All of our fathers today, and if possible, some of our grand and great-grandfathers were born into the trend of continuous change of names from Igbo to English. And I want to thank all of our ancestors who still retain their Igbo names. And I would like us, as a way of exercise, to please write your Igbo name, last name for me, and tell me the meaning if you do. What is your name? The person that says, I speak Twi, but I want to know more about Igbo language. Please, what is your name? I'm not seeing your name there. Little Miss J, I don't know what you mean by saying Igbo was not a thing in the Bible time. Igbo was existing before the Bible was written, if that's what you say, what you mean. All right, thank you, Crystal. Crystal Nwokoye, man born on Oye Market Day. Thank you, my sister. Nwokoye is man born in Oye Market Day. And I'm going to be writing this down. I have written Asonye. I hope it doesn't spring by before I finish. We have Nwokoye. Let me see. Nwokoye. I'll be writing it until I have Ohebulem. Okay. Okay. I have Okore, man born on okay. Okore. Mm-hmm. Did I miss anyone? All right, thank you. Started from there. Ụmụnna. Ụmụnna. Okay. Akwara Ezinne. Okay, I thought market day is Nkwa. Nkwo, not Nkwa. Okay. All right. Akwara Ezinne. This is one of the longest ones. Okay. Umunna, my strength is a kinsman. Okay. All right. Ndubuisi. Of course, Ndubuisi is one of the recent ones, love. So I do not expect Ndubuisi to go away soon, right? Onwudinjo, my grandfather's surname, okay, is Onwudinjo. Onwudinjo. All right. Onwudinjo. And when I can Isaiah Beatrice, is anybody still answering Onwudinjo in your lineage? How do you tell an old Igbo name from a newer one? Okay, I'll answer that one. Chizi. Abogidi. Chizi, are you from the Achebe family? Are you Abogidi? Chizi. Ngo Nadi. Chizi, I hardly do know how to pronounce that name. Ngonade. Can you tell me the meaning? It will help me. Okpara. Yeah, Oji. Oji is Okpara. All right. Love, the way you wrote Oji there, unfortunately, is also the anglicized way. What's the meaning of this name? Abara. Okay. Abara. Okay, Chizi, you are from Newi. All right. And we also candidate their last name. Let's start looking at these ones that we've written out now. Our last names as historical things. So somebody asked, I think Crystal, how do you tell an older last name from the yes? When a name is still being named today, and that's really what I said from the beginning. Remember, some of our last names are going. Okay. My last name is almost impossible for you to see anybody giving their child Asonye today. Okay, Ngona, where it is plentiful, where wealth abounds. Bank Oba Ako. Okay, I still do not really know how to pronounce that name. Is it Ngonade? 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 Okay, I'll try. All right. So, the person that answers Nwokoye already told us the name, the meaning. This is a man born on Oye Day. Now, I would like you to see how our names are so significantly strong and culturally deep. Ojinkeya eme ihe akọ. Now, from this name, man born on Oye Day, I would suspect where the person bearing this name comes from in Igbo land. And my guess will be almost correct, except that the name is adopted to another place. Okay? And success, I want you to take note of these names, okay? And the meanings that the bearers of the names suggest it is their meanings. A man born on Oye Day is the same thing as Okorie. The difference between Nwokoye and Okoye, Mobu Nwokorie, is the place, the area, the village, the town these two men are born. Nwokoye is born around the place that we may refer to today as Delta area or Delta State or Aniocha or Asaba. That is where Nwokoye is expected to be born, because it is this part of Igbo that refers to the Orie market as Oye. And the Oye as a market day is also being spoken or seen around Bini area. And the reason is because Igbo people are aborigines in Bini area. They are indigenous people in the place that are referred to as Edo today. This will go a long way in helping us to understand our cultural identity far and above the state-given names we have today, and people are claiming geopolitical identity over their cultural identity. What I said, Love said that part of Igbo and a sellout. Well, that is also one of the things we are trying to correct. Nwokoye is born around the northern part of Igbo land. That is where Nwokoye is expected to be born. Where areas you can call Delta states today, that are Nioma, them, Aniochara, Asaba, all those areas. It's expected as that's where you have Nwokoye, including up to the Benin area, because Igbo people are indigenous, original owners of the area carved out as Edo State or Benin. There are Igbo people who are origins, whose origins are in these areas, okay? Whereby Nwokorie or Okorie is expected to be seen around Imo State, Owerri, Mbise, Oguta, okay? And yeah, part of Anambra, I agree with you, Chizzy, part of Anambra should bear Nwokoye, okay? Whereby Nwokorie is more expected from Mbise, okay, Imo, all those areas, Owerri and Oguta, Mbidi, these areas that are carved out as a more central Igbo, okay, but they are the same names. So when a person says his name is Okorie, you will know, or Nwokorie, you will know. But when they are Okoye or Nwokoye, we will know where they come from, even when they deny Igbo, their Igbo identity. Okay? Yeah, Oforola, my sister. Looks like you come from Imo. Abia, everything, all of those are still Igbo land. Okay? Right. Even when they denied their Igbo identity. Thank you for the roses. Is it Wahala? Wahala, thank you. Thanks for the roses, okay? All right. Let's go back again. Ohebulem is, of course, what it means is that I don't have a lot of spaces, but if you want to write it, Ohebulem means let the public, let the people not kill me. And this is a name that may come from two reasons. It's either that the person bearing Ohebulem is a giver, is a very generous person. Thank you for the gift. And they consider that aga m emegidekwa ọgọ, megidekwa ihe ọma, mmadụ na-asị na nwụọ n'ọrịa monde agbake, biko Ohebulem. That is number one. Number two, this name might be Nwokoli as well. Thank you, Chizzy. Nwokoli is also the same with Nwokori. This name, thank you for the roses. Happy Phoenix. Appreciate you. Might be coming from a very genuine fear for Oha. And what is Oha? Oha is the people, the community. My people, they are Oha. Igbo na-asị, let me do TikTok. Why is it? TikTok wants to end. Okay. All right. Igbo na-asị. Thank you so much, Phoenix. What I want to say that there's a genuine fear that we have for the people, for the community. N'ihi na Igbo na-asị, otu onye siere ọha nri, ọha ga-ericha ya. Mana ọha siere ofu onye nri, ọgwa ya anwa richa ya. That is to say that the people have the power. The power resides around the people. The power is with the people. The people are bigger, larger, stronger than a single person. A tree cannot make a forest. That is another connotation that one can derive from Ohebulem. Let the people not kill me. Let the public, let the community not buy me, right? It's either from a genuine fear or from a person who is generous enough that okay? I've explained what correct. Umunna just means my people, kinsmen. But umunna kwesịrị inwe the full name. Of course, I'm coming to the sentential aspect of our names. Right. Umunna wike, but umunna buike. Those are umunna buike. That could be the full meaning of the name. Okay? Or if it is another thing, umunna plays joy. Let me know. All right. Okwara is in there. Of course, the bearer of the name tells us the meaning. It means a son of a good woman. And the family answered this name because they loved their mother so much that they wanted to retain one way or the other the name of their mother. And they kind of adopted the name Ezinne, but then put Okwara. And as time went on, the name lost the Okwara aspect of it. And the family, as I know them, continues to bear Ezinne. And at the end of the day, people that know Ezinne as a female name will ask, is that your last name or your first name? And all of that. Right. Umunnakwe. Thank you. Joy. Umunnakwe. Umunnakwe. Now, umunnakwe means a person cannot do a thing by themselves alone and succeed. Just like you say in English, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with people, right? Yeah, their mother was considered a good woman. Oh, okay. So even Ezinne was a kind of a title name given to a good mother. Thank you. All right. So umunnakwe has to do with ọbụrụ na ị chọọ ime ihe ụmụnna kwere gị gị mee ya. Mana ọ bụrụ ụmụnna ekweghị gị ọ ga-arakwa ahụ. And this is emphasizing on the power of unity of the people. Today, part of ihe anyị na-anụ was ụmụnna Ahịrịokwu. If you know what that means, you will understand what I'm talking about. Ụmụnna Ahịrịokwu. So the people are considered a powerful entity. Okay, your king's people. Ụmụnna gị. Ị ga-emenwe ihe you will not succeed. Everything the Igbo people do, they consider the community. And there is strength when the community gather together and do something. Umunnakwe. Yoga. Umunnakwe kame. Yo ageme ya. Ma ọ na ụmụnna ekweghị, o nwere ike ị ga-eme ya. Take for instance, there is no man, it doesn't matter how islandish you walk, you have posed yourself to be. You cannot without the consent of Umunna. I'm marrying my second daughter soon, and I have no idea unique names without a chi in it. How? First of all, vowel some ng. Why do you not want a chi in the name on for your daughter? Can you share more light? Before I know that umunna neighbor hagenyaka, is ajujoge, but I would like to understand, why do you not want a name that has a chi in it? Okay. All right. So umunna has a power, has a strength to the point that no singular man, no man would give their daughter to a man in marriage without the consent of ụmụnna, ime ya enwere ike ịmapụ gị n'iwu, enwere ike ịchụpụ gị n'obodo. I know that rich people today are doing things, especially those who live overseas and all of that. People are doing things that are against the culture of the land that may seem to look this way. But even those living overseas, they still call their kinsmen in that place they are to do that. People are already giving you suggestions of names, but it will interest us to know. Because I find ancestral names powerful. My first daughter is called Chika Nyima. Okay, Chika Odinaka. All right. Okay, you want a name that doesn't have Chi. All right. My beautiful community is already giving you suggestions, and these are names. Beautiful. Ifoma, Ngozi, Uchenna. These are all very beautiful names. For me, all my children have Igbo names that have Chi. And me, my wife and I, we like it that way. If that is something that we also are proud of. Okay, right. And the reason is because outside of us today, in today's world, Lady Ndewo, I didn't know you were here. More names are coming for you. Outside of us in our today's world, knowing or rather thinking and believing that whenever we hear Chi, we are talking about the Chi or the Chukwu that is introduced to us by Christianity. Before that happened, our Igbo people believed in Chi. And the Chi that Igbo people believed in have a dual meaning. The Almighty God, the ultimate Almighty God, and your personal God. The Igbo people believe in the personal God, or which is translatable into guardian angel today. These are all ancestral knowledge and wisdom. And I want to say this before I forget it. It was an inspirational thought that came to me when I was, thinking about the trend of evolution of Igbo culture and cultural identity. Yes, Onyekwe Chiekwe, you're right, love. All the time we have heard that culture is man-made, right? They say, oh, culture but I was not thinking deep into how beautiful, how significant the Igbo culture is. I was like, how come our people, devise the food they ate and we still eat today? How did they find all of these beautiful, beautiful things around them that formed what we call our culture today? And my thought went to, if culture is man-made, how about the inspiration that created the culture? Is it also man-made? If culture is human, man created culture, how about the wisdom with which the culture was created? Is it also human? If it is not human, it is divine. If the inspiration is divine, it then means God himself is interested in what a people have created for themselves as their culture, including the way they name their children. And if this is true, putting all this together, no human should come from another human life to impose and change the way of life of a people and impose theirs on them. It should not happen. If culture is human, agreed. How about the inspiration that generated, created, delivered culture to us? Is he also human? No. If the answer is no, it means the divine being who gave wisdom, who gave the inspiration to our ancestors to build a holistic way of life is interested in what will become our life, how we name names, how we bear children, how we marry. So nobody should stay on the other part of the world and tell me, you people collect bride price. It's not good. You people are selling your women. Yes, we sell our women. That's the wisdom God gave to us, if that's what you think it is. Today, families go beyond collecting any money for the marriage of their children. They go through the level of affinity that makes them to even give money to the married one to support their marriage. So God is interested in the names we bear. If He gave us the method of naming our children, and let's go back. Ndubisi, I said, is a modern name, even though it's also ancestral, or even though it's a name that has been there. Ndubisi means life is what? Key. Life is the ultimate thing. N'ihi gịnị? Ahapụ ndụ ma ọ bụ aghara ndụ kpaakụ, gịnị ga-eme? Onye iro erie ya. That's what the Igbo people say. Imagine the wisdom that goes with the proverbs that come from the mouth of our ancestors. This is Igbo language. Lena Light, we are teaching our language to us and our children. Igbo is one of the most ancient languages spoken on planet Earth. One of the most beautiful. Maazị Mbakwe is you are not Igbo, but you like learning. Maazị Mbakwe. Maazị Mbakwe, what tribe are you from, please? What cultural identity do you bear? You are from where? Maazị Mbakwe, how are you Cameroonian? Are you from Igbo community in Cameroon? We are interested in you, brother. All right. It's good to know that we have our brothers who are Aborigines in Cameroon. He is 100% Cameroonian. I will begin to suspect that your Maazị Mbakwe may be your TikTok name, but it's good that you are answering Igbo name. Then Mbakwe is also like Umunnakwe. The meaning of your name is let my people agree, let my people allow. Okay. All right. Now you are saying that. Okay. Even before the Civil War, our people were driven all around. Lena Lai says, I'm learning Yoruba lately, thinking of a name my future children. Well, we are Igbo. We're not speaking Yoruba here. So even before the Civil War, our people traveled across a lot of places that they became part of it. But Igbo migration is one that has a lot of branches to them. But I'm not going to be talking about Igbo migration today. We are looking at the last names as we are introducing the topic, Ahịrịokwu Igbo. And why I'm speaking more English today is because I sense, especially on TikTok, my community, the people here listening to me, in addition to the 80% that are Igbo born growing abroad, I have more guests and visitors today, and I'm interested in letting you learn our cultural knowledge. It is one of the things we pride in. Okay, right. So thank you, Maazị Mbakwe. Thank you for the heart. Our names are ancestral, the Igbo names, but we are losing them so fast. One of the most beautiful aspects of our names is how they form sentences. An average Igbo name is not one word. Think of it. Just remember one Igbo name. Because why? We do not name house, chair, table. We don't name our names picture, board, ceiling. We don't name that way. Our names have way deeper meanings than we even see on the surface structure. The shortest of an Igbo name can be just a phrase. For instance, Ijeoma, which is a phrase. Now, Ijeoma, some Igbo names are a full historical essay. Chizi put it in the most beautiful way. Some Igbo names are an essay. Sorry, Beatrice. Now, so I'm giving an example like Ijeoma, Ifeoma. Now, Ijeoma and Ifeoma, let me write them. I'm going to write them here with are examples. Ifelota or Ifelota. Amber, is it Ifelota or Ifelota? I don't know Igbo. I never got a chance to. This is your chance to learn. Let me see who is speaking. Othniel Eluma. Eluma, your name is Igbo. You are Igbo, okay? And thank God you're from Imo State. This is a platform where you can learn Igbo. Go ahead and download the Menka app after the class. We are creating this class for people like you, okay? From the conversations that we have here and the words that we use. And then in addition to the app, you are going to be able to begin to catch words and their meanings. Okay. Chinolingo, can you translate my original last name from my village? It is Omomo Abui Ike Mado. Omomo Abui Ike Mado. Okay, Chinolingo, I will tell you the meaning of that. Okay. All right. I know more messages are coming. I'm going to attend to them. Right. I wanted to say that Ifeoma, Ijeoma, Uchenna. These are examples of names in Igbo that are possibly amongst the shortest because they are just a phrase. Now, Ijeoma, Ifeoma, they can stand on their own without you adding any other thing. Okay, somebody can say, oh, Ijeoma, Ijeoma Dema or something, but these are names that can stand on their own as a phrase. And Ijeoma means good journey. That's Ijeoma. Ifeoma also means good thing. Now, a person bearing this name might be coming from the fact that they consider the child as a good thing that is coming, or the husband is considering the wife they married as a good thing that happened to them, or vice versa. Whichever way, the name stands on its own. Outside of names that look this way, many other Igbo names are sentential. Okay? All right. Somebody's name is Omomo Abuyike Mado. You can imagine that. Omomo Abuyi let me see. Omomo Abuyike Mado. Okay, I think it's written as Abuyike Mado. And this means childbearing is not relying on human strength. Crystal, yes. Childbearing is not a human thing. Is Edo and Igbo similar? Choma, Choma is also a phrasal name. It's one of the simpler ones as well. All right, Chukwebuka, I hope you know your name. Yeah, I hope you know the meaning of your name. All right. So, Moya Juru is Edo and Igbo, similar or the same thing. Edo is a government-given name created from the government as a state. All right, Chidubem. Congratulations, Tadosh. So, Edo is a current one of the states carved by Nigerian government. Igbo is an ancestral community, is an ancestral ethnic group, far larger and far bigger than just a tribe. Okay. All right. Why is Anioma Igbo the same? I don't know what you mean, Anioma Igbo the same. So some of these comments are tilting towards political issues. But I want to answer it with one expression. I'd like you all to know, those that are listening to me here, if you are a person, when they ask you, where are you from? You say, I'm from Delta State. I'm from River State. I'm from Lagos State. You don't know where you come from. If you cannot identify yourself down to your cultural identity, please learn how to do that today. That will help you to solve the problem of identity crisis. Nigeria is working not as many other countries are working. It's a very unique, troublesome country that all of us know. It is not working for the masses. It is rather creating confusion for so many of us. And one way that that is happening is by infusing identity crisis amongst young people. State creations that happened and started from Gowon, which were done for a reason, and in the recent time today, has become a way of escape for some people who are running away from their cultural identities and are having problems with that. It doesn't matter whether it's coming from your father or your grandfather. There must be a reason. They are denying their identity. Okay? If you want to know where you're from, start by knowing your name. If your name is all English, find out what your traditional name or your last name is. If you are from River State, what language do you speak in River State? What is your name in River State? These two things, you cannot deny them. Your name, your language. That is one thing that will help you to know where you come from. Ask questions, Amaka. They will tell you. River State is not a cultural identity. It is a state creation. It only solves the political identity. And nobody comes from River State. Did you see what I said? Nobody comes from River State. River State is for the government. Before River State, where were you from? Excuse me. Sorry, my microphone. That's what you ask yourself. Before River State, the people, your community, where did they come from? Opobo. Opobo is Igbo land. Don't think that you are Ibani. Find out. Find out where you come from. Your name, if your name does not show it, ask your ancestors if you do not speak your language, because your name and your language, these are two things. Now, today, you all know that Delta States, they are rumoring about a new creation of state from Delta States. When that state is created, the people that are now saying, I'm Delta, I'm from Delta, their name, their state name will change. What would they begin to answer? So you are who you are before the creation of state. That is the same argument we make in the classroom when we're teaching about identity with Nigeria. All of us are primarily who we are before Nigeria was created, coming from our ancestors. My forefathers, great-great-great-grandfathers, who were here before the visit of the colonialists, will never say they were Nigerians because there was no Nigerian. And today there's a huge argument about whether we must be Nigeria or not and all of those things. Those are political conversations. But we are looking at our last names here. My dad said the Urobo tribe. Yes, Urobo tribes come from the Igbo tribe. It is true. They are part of the Igbo people. Look at the language, the dialectal part of Igbo they speak. It doesn't matter how distant it has become. I mentioned it here that even in Benin, you have Aboriginal Igbo people there who are the owners of the place. Okay? All right. Okay. So I was now saying our names, our last names, as they are going by, Omenka app is making an effort to retain our last names. The reason is because I'm sensing that at some point in near future, not distant future, our children and children will begin to make a U-turn towards how Igbo people used to name names. There's a huge cultural awareness going on, even though there's also a huge population of Igbo people, Igbo children, growing up overseas, growing up outside Igbo land. There is this push and this pull. There is this attraction amongst young people towards their culture that you need to really. Now, let me also say this for you all who are either in Nigeria or you can still at least identify your community in Nigeria. You are fortunate. Our brothers and sisters who were taken into slavery, into America and some part of the world today, where they can still do DNA and their DNA points them back to Africa, points them back to our land. You don't know what they feel, the emptiness they feel. You don't know the gap that is in them when they cannot, even with the DNA, they still cannot say, I come from this community. They cannot say, these are my kinsmen. Today, I teach my children about their cousins and their uncles, who is who, from my maternal and from my paternal. I said this, I think it was it in this class last time. They can point, even though they are growing outside of Igbo land, they can point at a few people they know as their cousins, uncles, and aunties. But so many of our brothers and sisters who grew up here, who were born here, coming from the descendants of the slaves, can no longer trace their identity beyond where they are, even though DNA will tell them you are 60% Nigerian, you are 70%, even though Nigeria is a new concept. And when they find that, I'll tell them, well, it's most likely you are Igbo, right? Because I even have, factual evidence to support that. Because in Nigeria, what became Nigeria today, the people that are most taken are from the Igbo territory. Because historically, Calabar hosted the largest slave port ever in history. And then Calabar, of course, as at the time, was part of the Igbo enclave. Whatever became Calabar today, Cross River was created by Gowon, right? These were all part of the Igbo, Akwa Ibom, and all of this that came later. Thank you. Thank you for the gift, Nikki. Appreciate it. So slaves, the largest amount of slaves were held in Calabar. Recently, there's a video making rounds. A girl that visited the building where she said Nigeria was formed by Lord Lugard. The office, the building is still there. It's antiquated, but I still live it there. And then she showed in the video a small hole that led into a basement, an underground, where up to 40 to 50 slaves were supposed to be kept. But you know what? History has it that over hundreds slaves were being put inside that hole with little or no ventilation for days before they are carted away, before they are shipped away. That's where slaves were being held before they went in through the port of no return, of course, through the sea. So these things happened. Now, there has been a whole lot of activities over the years that have happened to our identities. So I do not blame so much those who are falling under the identity crisis if you are a young person, but you will do yourself a better thing to dig deeper into knowing where you actually come from rather than saying I'm from River State, I'm from Delta State. Yes, thank you. Famota, I can't pronounce your name very well, sorry. All right, so two things that will help you really trace your identity well if you are, finding yourself with identity crisis. Your name, if it is not English, and your language, if you know your language at all. If you do not speak your language, ask your parents. If they don't speak, then you have a research to do. You have to. Because if our brothers and sisters who live overseas, America and other parts of the world, where they finally found themselves as, slaves who became free, if they go to the extent of doing their DNA to find out where they are from, you need to do that. You need to do much more than that. And DNA does not lie. Okay? So if you have it in you, you have it in you. Nobody can take that away. Even if you are the 100th generation, your DNA will still point to you that you are Igbo. If you are Igbo. All right. So, ọ na-agba anya mmiri, ọ bụ ihe na-agba ezigbote anya mmiri na ị na-ahụ na anyị na-eshi na ihe Chukwu nyere anyị ụzọ anyị si agụ aha, okay, wee na-apụ na-agụzi aha ndị ọ ga-abụ ịnụ ha, ị ga-ama ma ọchị ọ ga-atọ gị, ị ga-ama ma ị ga-ebewe akwa. Our sister Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie has commented on this in the recent time. It was divinely coincidental, or rather arranged, when we were hosting the last year's workshop for Igbo teachers, that we named the workshop Ejigbo Ejebe Ajambele. Chimamanda was as well speaking in a university about Ejigbo Ejebe Ajambele. The lies about Ejigbo Ejebe Ajambele is something that is still ringing and reverberating in the ears and heads of us and our parents today. And that is what we are trying to deconstruct here in our class. And we are encouraging Igbo people, young men and women who are here. Ndewo Kiss Expert, my brother, Kedo. So if you are here and you have not dug out your identity to your ethnic group, to your kindred, please do that. Now, we are looking at our last names. Oboni Deberem, your last name, please. Put your last name there. Thank you, Kiss Experts. Put your last name for us, especially those on TikTok, those are joining us right now. We want to know your last name and the meaning, if you know your last name. Especially Obona aha Igbo Gibu, aha Nnagibu Igbo. Tadosh, did you say your last name is Nnamoko? All right, I am Wetelen Nnamoko, Wete Oledemma. Success, I hope you've written these ones down. I'm going to clean them. Oledemma, please, Oledemma, buy ihe aha gị pụtara. Adabo doesn't sound Igbo, so I'm sure it might be Yoruba also. Oledemma. Nnamoko. Namoko, what is the meaning of your last name? Do you know? Ginebo Ahage. Lady. Lady, what am I here? Nebedum. Okay. Nebedum. All right. You see what we're doing here? Now, I also will know where Nebedum comes from just by looking at Nebedum, right? Nebedum, I also want you to write the meaning of your name. Oledemma, which one is good? Do you also not think it is talking about who and who are good? Oledemma. Huh? Who and who are good? And then if it is which one is good or whichever one, Oledemma, what do you think is the reason for your name, your last name? Onwa, okay. Oka Ibe. All right. Thank you for writing and asking. Kiss Espa, is it Onwa or Onwa? I wish you guys can send voice notes on TikTok. I have Onwa or Onwa. Then I have Oka Ibe. Who can tell us what Oka Ibe means? Okay, boy or girl, which one do you people even prefer? Okay, that's a connotation of Oledemma. Okay, Onwa. All right. Onwa should be Olwa as well in Imo State. Olwa, which I suspect means Olwa Obala. Tell me if it is correct. I believe that's the meaning of that name. Onwa Obana. That means a name from Anambra, right? Or Olwa Obala. Beautiful. Thank you, case expert. All right. Then Lebedum and Nebedum. Lebedum. Nebedum is from Anambra or Enugu, while Lebedum is from Imo State. Okay, so Onwa is a Bonyi dialect. Okay. Idu. Last one, Idunwoyi. I'm not sure it's Igbo. I believe it's not Igbo. Ane Elechi. Okay. Right. I still ask who knows the meaning of Oka Ibe. Oka Ibe is from Imo State. Oka Ibe is from Imo State. Who knows the meaning of Oka Ibe? Yeah, Imo State has Nebedum as Nlebedum, and both Nebedum or Nlebedum mean let me be watching what is going to happen. Let me be watching what will happen. Okay. Then Anelechi means let also be watching God. And this is a name that Theophilus, I don't expect you to know the meaning. This is a name that may be coming from a person who is expecting something from God. Anelechi. Even in Lebedum, okay, you're from Obingwa, but what name did you say is your name? Ukaibe, yeah. Ukaibe, see, Deluxe, both Abia states, Imo State, even Anambra, they all used to be in one state, right? Even Enugu, they were all in one state. And we were talking about here, what we're talking about here is that let us not continue to adopt the state identity, whereby we have a primary identity which came prior to state creations. Okay, forget about states. What I'm looking at is the part of Igbo land. Don't mind that I said Imo State. Okay, right. My name is Chika Osolo. These are more Gen Z names. Chika Osolo. These are millennial and Gen Z names. Somebody asked me, how do you know which name is older and younger? Please keep tapping on the screen for us. Those on TikTok, do not get carried away. We've gotten some gifts today, which is very beautiful and encouraging. But the interaction, I know, is expository. But do not forget that it's important that you promote the class we're having so that more people will, know about it. Oka Ibe, kindred talk. Yeah, Oka Ibe na-ekwu. Oka Umunna. I would say, sincerely, I am finding it difficult to really place a meaning on Oka Ibe. Moka Osolo, and my sister is Nneka Osolo. I like that. All right. So, what is your last name? Chika Osolo. What's your last name? And I'm glad that your parents gave you Igbo names. All right. Friendly talk. Okay. Somebody is saying Oka Ibe is friendly talk. Thank you, Mrs. Joy. Oka Ibe, friendly talk. Maybe it's similar to what Americans call locker room talk. Oka Ibe na-ekwuru nwanne ya. Oka Ibe na-agwa nwanne ya okwesị isi okwu and all of that, right? Yeah, Nwankwo. Nwankwo is coming from a man, PS talk as well. Thank you, Sekufus. Nwankwo is a name derived from a man born on Nkwo Market Day. Thank you for the roses, Sekufus. So Deluxe is asking, how does that name make have any meaning? It could be coming from a much deeper meaning that is not represented on the sentence, on the surface structure. Okay, whether it's PS talk, whether it's friendly talk, it might mean that friendly talk does not hurt. Friendly talk does not have, you don't need to attach a lot of meaning or to it or something like that. Dịka a ga-asị na mmadụ nwere ike ịsị iwe nwanne anaghị eru n'ọkpụkpụ, right? That is when you are angry at your brother or sister, it does not get to the bone. That means it shouldn't be deep. Okay. Nlebedum or nlebedum, nlewedim. I like that, cheesy. Thanks for bringing that. I wait patiently. It also means anelechi or elechi. Mobaya nele. Thank you. You see how we are deriving and generating all of these names, and they are all having very deep meanings. Lebedum, lebedim, lewedim depends on which dialect, which dialectal cluster the person or linguistic community the person comes from. All right. Now, I have one request, special request for all of us. If you have a name, Igbo name, Dalo Deluxe, ọ bụ na ị nwere aha, na aha gị Okpara, okay, Okpara is just first son, is anywhere, whether it appears as Okpara or Okwara. Is just first son or Okpala. Okay, anywhere you go, Okpala, Okwara, Okpara means first son. Now, my plea for all of us, if you have an Igbo name that is being written like English, I encourage you to begin to write your name as Igbo. I know that not all of us know how to use the diacritics, the pom-pom that appear in Igbo language. Now we have a cell phone. We also have Opara. Thank you, Madam Chinwe. Opara. Purely Owerri and Mbise and Ngwa. Opara. Diokpa as well. Diokpa, Kiss Express. I don't know if Diokpa primarily means Opara, but it could really be. But it has other connotations. Because Diokpa could be just like Diokpa. Like every man could be Diokpa. Okay, not necessarily Opara or Opara. All right. But I think is one of the meanings. Okay. My plea is Okpara means the taker, the inheritor, but it is the first son's title in Igbo land for the inheritor of the father's house. You have heard it all from Chizi. Okay. All right. So Diokpa is also the short form of Diokpala for those who also attach D to names, and D is an enclitic we see in some other words in Igbo, like Dibia. It is also D, like Dinta, like hunter is also D. And all of these are derived from D, which is a male enclitic, signaling a male. Okay. All right. If you have Igbo name, do me a favor from today. Write your Igbo name like Igbo. If your name is Chibuzo, Chibuzo, and it's written this way, do me a favor. Write your name as Chibuzo. E no go kill you. Your dross no go loss. Your obante no go disappear. Chill. I know. What you were told is what we call Ajambele chill. Chill said, I was told to change my first name to English for more opportunities. What opportunity is that? What kind of opportunity? Ajambele. Anyway, rather than changing your name, please write your name as Igbo. And I don't know if you told us your Igbo name, Chill. Please, if you write your Igbo name with Igbo, opportunity from white men. Do white men change their names to get opportunity from you? You no go disappear anything, Beatrice. Forget thing. Chukuma. Okay. That was for you to detach from your lineage, not to have more opportunities. Thank you, skills experts. Thank you so much. Chica means girl in Spanish. So I legally added an English middle Zachary. Okay, it's fine. Here the germs. All right. Yeah, so people see, we were Dera, yes, Chidera. I'm sure you know what the meaning means. Your name means Chidera and Oriako. Oriako, yeah, Oriako means the person. Okbaramanaya, he took his father's cut here. Yeah, Oriako means the person that consumes the wealth of the other person. So when I say that, I mean the woman. I mean the female. That's what Oriako means, consuming the wealth of the husband. And it is a name usually given to a married woman, but Igbo scholars seem to align more with Odoziako than Oriako. Both titles are used. People also answer Oriako. I also know a family whose last name is Oriako, just like Ezinne. Oriako is more of a feminine name, but some people also answer Oriako as their last name with the reason. I do not know all the reasons. It could also be similar to the Ezinne's concept, where they answer because they love their mom so much and they give the title. Okay. All right. So, first of all, Biko, rather than changing your name, adopting an English one, I almost did that. I was doing that. In fact, to my first name or Igbo name before. And I will tell you my Igbo name. My Igbo name is Ihe. Ihechi. If you come from Anambra and Enugu side, the people that bear my name bear it as Ifechukwu. Ifechukwu. Ifechukwu, not Ife rather. Ifechukwu. Now, some people now, Chi Echetalam, big one, very nice one. Now, Ihe means light of God. And part of the reason, or the reason I believe I was given this name, is because I was born on the 25th of December, believed to be the Christmas day, right? You know, so thank you, Mr. Abro. So believed to be the Christmas day. So I was given Emmanuel, I was given Ihechi, right? And at some point when I was growing up, you know, all of these identity crisis we are going through, I started adopting light rather than Ihechi. Now, in my village, that's what they call me. They call me, in my dialect, Iho, Ihochi. That is how my name is named in my Mbise dialect, Ihochi. At some point, when I have gone to the university, around that time, I started assuming, why this name? It doesn't sound, I don't want to use the Gen Z word today, you know. It doesn't sound nice or something like that. I started adopting the name Light. Even to some point, some of my kinsmen or my family started calling me, hey, Nine Light. That's one of my cousins today. That's what he calls me. But I had to quickly drop that nonsense idea coming through my head. Yeah, Ibotic. It sounded Ibotic, something like that. Now, I also, because it is not a very common name. Today, people now name Ihechi, which is still the same spelling, but not the same meaning. Ihechi means something that belongs to God, the thing of God. Nkiruka, one of the very beautiful Igbo names. Hapuchakwa Maazi Light ahụ. Beatrice. So now both Ihechi and Ifechukwu mean the same thing. Now it is not a common name, and people are changing it now to Ihechi, which means something that belongs to God. That's not my name. My name came from the fact that I was born on the 25th of December, on that day, 1 a.m. And believing that it is a Christmas day, I was named Ihechi, the light of God, and then English Emmanuel. I hardly, outside of my community, because what was registered in my school was Emmanuel. Ihechi hardly comes outside of me, making it prominent. But you see my journey, that when I was now growing up, I was having an idea of dropping Ihechi or changing it to something, but I had to stop because of what I know now. Kana Ayochukwu, let's be praying to God, which also is equivalent to Ane Elechi, like Chizzy pointed out those names. You see how our names are so beautiful. All right. Now, please, while you are giving us your first name, it is the last name that we are more concerned about. And what led us to our conversation, beautiful conversation, is, Jaja, I don't know if I got your name today. Did you put your last name down? Is in Omenka app, we are documenting last names. Okay, I like what you said, Chill. You said, my name is my name. Can't see it changing if family weren't deadly people. I do not know what that means, Chill. Mbago, let my people not finish. Let my people not be wiped away. Mbagu. Thank you, Ugi. Yugi. So chill. Most of the times we have been told our people were deadly people. We grew up learning that how fetish our ancestors were, how they did not worship God, how they were fetish and evil, and even possibly barbarians and cannibals and all of that. Niger people go tell you in a wash. 90% of all of that na wash. Ashocha. These were propaganda, early propaganda generated to conquer us. And not just conquer us physically, conquer us emotionally, conquer us mentally, and enslave us mentally and emotionally. Of course, so many of our ancestral villages, families, were not killers or bad people or evil people. It's just like today, one of the trends of historical conversation that goes on when people from the Africa, the people who call African diaspora, talk with African American people, there's this accusation back and forth. Yes, there. Whereby the African American will say, was it not you people that sold us, your ancestors that sold our ancestors? And all of that. The truth about it is that just very few of Igbo villages were involved in selling people. Thank you so much. Thank you for the too much dollar. I wish I picked them, or I will be heading to the bank in the next few minutes. Thank you. Now, not many of our villages were involved in selling anybody. There were very few villages in Igbo land that were involved in selling slaves. Very few. Hi, sister. Let me call you. Okay, I'm teaching. I'll call you after my class. Mm-hmm. One of them was the Ohafia and Abreba communities. They were known, very well known, for business acumen, and they converted their businesses towards selling people. And it got to the point, even when we were growing up in the village, we used to sometimes in some seasons, they would tell us that you can't go to the bush by yourself alone, because there was a time it was believed that headhunters were going around, because these people were known for hunting of humans and hunting of heads. If you are in a community, if you are in a village and you have the people called Aro people, the Aro is a descendant of the Aro Chukwu people, one of the oldest Igbo communities that ever existed. One of the oldest. And they also amassed a lot of power, political and business power. And they were one of the most resistance that the British had when they were trying to conquer the Igbo land. So there was a lot of propaganda channeled towards these people, political and otherwise. But what matters was that when slavery was now a thing of business, they were one of the few Igbo communities that were involved in selling. Many other people that were moved either by ignorance, by being kidnapped by these people if they come around. Because if you go around Igbo land, Arab people are everywhere. The reason was because traditionally they had to migrate to other communities to give them easy access to human beings that they were transporting through the Calabar port that I talked about. Okay, they had this power. The rest of the Igbo community, many of them were running for their lives and saving their own children. If you have read about slavery and the Igbo people and the roles they played, you may have run into the name called Olaudah Equiano. Olaudah Equiano became one of the Olaudah Equiano became one of the most prominent slaves that ever lived. The reason is because he eventually became rich and became powerful and decided to write a book about his life experience. I will ask you to look for They Lived Before Adam by Catherine Achalano on YouTube if you have not watched it, if you have not read any of her work. And it is not even there that she explained it. There's another video where she was interviewed, where she was explaining how she traced the village of Olaudah Equiano into, I think, Imo State. Then, Olaudah Equiano, as we studied in school, it was being suspected whether he was real Igbo or whether he was from River State, like people can claim today. But eventually, it was established that Olaudah Equiano was from Imo State. And the work of Catherine Achalano supports that idea so much. Now, Olaudah Equiano, according to several researches, suggests that he was growing up from a well-to-do family. What is $5,000? Oh, the book, right? Yeah, you can just watch the YouTube video. The book was presented at the Harlem Book Fair. So, you know, it's one expensive book. And again, you know that, oh, 50,000. Interesting. Interesting. I wouldn't know the reason. Maybe they wanted to put it out of sight so that we don't have access to it. I've not read the book. I've watched the video and I've watched some of her works as well. And then, you know, these are some monumental works that we cannot, you know, neglect, talking about our history. Yeah, of course, you should know that. That's expected. All right. So Olaudah Equiano was so reminiscent of his childhood experience. It gave him nostalgic feeling throughout his lifetime until his death. And that was expressed in his book. He needed to put out there the kind of life he lived before he was kidnapped. He needed to let the world know that he lived a very, very robust childhood life. He needed to say how he was cut off, even though he wasn't just a nobody in his community. We know this by the fact that Olaudah Equiano said that he was the one carrying his father's bag to the court because his father was either a magistrate or a judge or had something to do with the courts. And you know that the way Igbo people mentor is, you know, mentoring a child by practical method, which of course the young people, Gen Zs today, question this because of their affinity with the Western world. You see people are asking questions, must a girl be taught how to cook as opposed to a boy? And the answer is yes. If you are from Igbo community, you must learn how to cook. Because Chino Achebe in his book says, let a woman sit like a woman. We emphasize on gender-based roles, whether you are a feminist or a masculinist. The Igbo people emphasize on that. So Olaudah, as a young boy growing up, saw himself carrying his father's bag to the court. His sister that was kidnapped alongside him was not seen carrying his father's bag to the court because it wasn't her mentorship pathway His sisters would have been mentored to follow their mom to the farm, to stay with their mom in the kitchen. Then, don't get me wrong, that does not mean we do not see cross responsibility or roles, cross gender roles. We see them. I know how to cook. My wife can testify about that, even though she cook past me. Sometimes I go act James Bond in the kitchen, and the result will become something magnificent. Don't tell anybody. But then, my wife knows how to cook much more than I do. Like, she is one of the best. Now, I learned it in the kitchen because I grew up with my mother in the kitchen. And the reason is because now thank you for the beautiful rose. In the world that I grew up, we now have fathers leaving the village, going over in the town, urban areas, to do what? To fetch money. So I grew up in that world where my father lived in the urban area and we were growing up in the village because my mother came down to man the home back home. So I didn't follow my father to the farm, but we were all involved in cutting of bush, even in doing it in group, in making small money through cutting of bush, cutting down bush, farming, and even pounding isonko. We were all involved in those. Asoromunko for my family, we have, thank you so much, brother, for the cat. Asoromunko, because I want unko. My own side of the community is one of those that produce lots of palm oil. Appreciate you, Kanayo. Appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you. So there is gender-based role that Olaudah Equiano expressed in his book. He found himself reminiscent of those experiences. And that is one of the reasons, as I begin to close, I'm telling this story. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Please, let's clap for Kanayo Chukwu and let us encourage him by following him. That's lots of gifts. I can imagine it's still going, still going. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am a village boy. I grew up in the village, just like Olaudah Equiano. I created Omenka app because I begin to think, how can my children not have a glimpse of my experience growing up in the village? Thank you so much, brother. How can my children growing up with completely different experience that is disconnected from my cultural experience? That is why I created Omenka app. Omenka app is beyond Igbo words that you see there today. Is an embodiment of our childhood experiences. Mgbe anyị nọ na school, ụmụ nwanyị na-akpọ ọga kpam. We were not involved in that. Even though some boys may know how to kpọọla ọga, ụmụ nwoke na-akụ okwe. Then there were other unisex plays and childhood recreational plays that were done even in schools. Ụmụ nwoke na-agbakwa ball. Ụmụ nwanyị anaghị agba ball. I'm not saying that ụmụ nwanyị agba ball today is wrong. I'm telling you, these are cultural experiences. And these are tied to the wisdom of God that our ancestors used, applied in creating all of our culture today. And just one day, some group of people came and said, no, all of the lives that our fathers and mothers lived was fetish, that it is their own that was better. They started changing everything about us. Yes, our children cannot really have the taste of real heaven if they don't get a glimpse of our growing up experiences. I 100% agree with you, Chizi. And that is why, like I'm saying again, I dedicated today's teaching to speaking English more because of all of you, so that I do not miss you. If you are a parent, if you grew up like me in the village, leave a little bit of the cartoons that your children are watching, redirect them to something that will give them more sense of the culture. You are not doing it because you are disconnecting them from the more opportunities, like my sister said earlier. You are doing them a better service. You are helping them. Olaudah Equiano is one of the most read books, in fact, any slave person may have written. I'm glad that studies and research have led us to tracing where Olaudah Equiano comes from a place that is in Mbano today, according to Catherine Achalon. When she started recounting this, it got to the point she started crying because of the nostalgic, because of the feeling she had when she got to the family and was able to find a person that really was testified to have looked like Olaudah Equiano. And they say, yes, if you are looking for the direct descendants of this man, it is this guy. And the picture that she had looks very much like this guy. So, from our names, they started shifting us. Our parents, our forefathers started adopting more English names. More names that we don't even know their meanings. Because we were told that if they were told, the more you answer those names, the more you look like sense. And God is accepting you in heaven. But today, nobody has explained to us the mystery of sense. And nobody has answered our question. Our forefathers that did wonderful works of healings and creating community assets and accessibilities and justice to make sure there is balance in our land. Nobody has told us why they do not qualify to be saints. Nobody has told us all the innovations that our ancestors invented and some of which have been renamed. Nobody has told us if those do not qualify them to be saints. Why we are saying this is that we can start from the very, very little thing that we are doing. We are documenting Igbo last names. Our names mean more than we can even imagine. Our names are deep. Our names are very, very substantial, significant. They did not come by nothing. They are landmarks. Let's try to hold and sustain and retain and preserve the ones we can, that we still have today. If you are the Gen Z generation, those who are answering Kazi and Chizi and Soma and Maso, whatever those names mean, if your parents have already given you those names, fine, so long as they're Igbo. Do well by trying to ask about the full meaning of your name. And please, if possible, write the full name the way it is supposed to be. Not cheesy, not Cassie. Names are changing, but it is bad if we lose them all. If we have all of these beautiful names, if a son born on Oye Day is bad to name Nwokoye, Mobu Oye Day to name Nwokorie, Mobu Nwokoli or Okorie, how about Monday? How about Sunday? How about Tuesday and Wednesday that people answer? How about January, February, April, March that people are answering? What are the names? What are the meanings of those names? What is Wednesday? What is April? And we'll be seeing all those, and I'll be like, it's sounding psychedelic, you know. Oh my God, we did, Chizzy. I agree with you. We did. We had paradise. So, if you are still a young person, unmarried, about to marry, just like these, our brothers and sisters that came here and requested to be given a suggestion about the names they will name their children, please bear it in your mind to name your child Igbo and insist they answer Igbo names. It doesn't matter where you live today. If we do make every effort to get names like Schwarzenegger, we all of us are on Facebook where the person that owns it answers Zuckerberg. We try to name all these. We try to mention them. Nobody questions why must we even pronounce these names correctly. Somebody should make effort to pronounce your Igbo name without any apology. My wife's name is Ezinne. All the time. You know, Igbo low tone is one of the problems of Unyocha Oyibo. They do not produce a low tone. And any word that has a low tone is a problem for them. Number one. The other thing, they do not produce the syllabic nasal. We talked about it. We're going to continue to talk about it in our class. The syllabic nasal and that is N and M, that begins a word, or that is also found in the middle of a word, like Ezinne, is a problem for them. Now, my wife may have had every reason to start answering Zini, like I have seen some, also on social media and all of that. She doesn't. The much like they remove that syllabic nasal and I call her Ezine, and all of that. She will correct them politely and still write her name and still pronounce her name the way it's supposed to be mentioned. Now, you don't owe anybody apology. That is your name. As I close, we are 13 minutes beyond our time. I teach this class every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. My second class that I used to teach on Monday is now going to be happening on Sundays. And in that class, I teach young Igbo people who are growing up where I am, where I live. And I also stream that class on TikTok here. And this semester, we are reading an Igbo drama book. And I'm using that to teach them the concepts of life and livelihood in a traditional Igbo community. Because that's not what they are experiencing. They are experiencing every day they go to school. Somebody tells them to believe that nobody should tell them what to do. They are experiencing every day they go to school. Somebody teaches them that it is not their responsibility to do home chores. That when they are doing that, it is them doing their parents a favor. So I'm using the Igbo drama book to teach this, inculcate this cultural experience in them. So if you are interested in joining my second class that happens on Sunday, starting from this Sunday, it is going to be 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, it's going to be in the midnight for those in Nigeria, maybe around 11:30 or so. You can join. I know that a lot of people are on TikTok in the midnight. Why do we do what we do? We are almost a people so lost, so far away from where we were supposed to be, from who God made us to be. We are a people almost completely lost. It has taken generations. It has taken ages. We who are born, who are alive in this era where there is becoming a high level of cultural awareness. We have a job, we have a duty, first to ourselves and to our children and generations. Become conscious of who you are. You are Igbo before any other thing. That's Oya ka Chineke mere ka ị bụrụ. In his infinite wisdom, God, in the way he created humans, he made you who you are from your cultural place first, before anything. Especially if you are from Africa. All of our countries in Africa, we are not created by us. Today, we all boast how we are Nigerians, proud of Nigerians and all of that. Yes, because that's the country we are in today. But ever before you were Nigerian, you were Igbo. You were, first of all, Igbo. You do no good to humanity, not to yourself, if you continue to litter and throw away your identity. It doesn't matter what you may have heard. Oh, Igbo people this, Igbo people that. If we dig deep into that, a lot of them also now wash pure propaganda that has lasted for ages. What we're trying to do is to correct the wrongs that have been done against us for several centuries. We are still deep in it today. All of us that clean our bodies and wash our clothes and enter a church every day to worship God, we still are in an environment where we have the consciousness that the lesser we are of our cultural identity, the more godly we are. Unfortunately, it would have been the other way around. The more we are Igbo, the closer to God we are supposed to be. The more we are Igbo, the more godly we are supposed to be. Because God himself does not like when you deny your identity. That was why Jacob and Esau, even though they succeeded, Jacob succeeded in what he did, he mixed up identity. Go back to the historical trends of the Bible. If you read the Bible, think about how God dealt with the children of Israel. He wanted them to maintain their identity pure. Igbo people will have a unique ancestral identity. Do not let that be dropped in your generation. It begins with your names. Ọ bụrụ na ị na-ekpe chọọchị ịbụ onye Chukwu dịka anyị niile na-aga ụka, agwa gị n'ụlọ ụka na ihe butere ihe ọjọọ na-eme gị si n'aha gị, tell them to fear akwa. Gwa ha na ọ bụ asị. It's a lie from the pit of hell. It doesn't matter whether your name is one more. But if you think changing your name will bring change of fortune for you, it's up to you. It begins with us learning our language. And we are creating this platform for us all to learn not just the language, but the culture. Ọtụtụ n'ime anyị, ọ bụrụ na anyị gaa ebe a mụrụ anyị, ebunye anyị ọjị, anyị agaghị ama ihe a ga-eme with ọjị. Ọjị, which is one of the most significant Igbo cultural symbol. Ọjị, which of course we have discussed here again and again. Ọjị, ịbụrụ nwa afọ Igbo nwoke, ebunye gị ọjị, ma ihe ị ga-eme ya, is a minus. But very many of us do not know how to handle ọjị. One of the least things you can do for yourself. Start by knowing the meaning of your name, your last name. Before the next class on Monday, please do a research if you are still confused about who you are, where you come from. What is the meaning of your lineage, the meaning of your kindred, the meaning of your father, your mother? Ask these questions, upon able an adult. Even as a child, if you are listening to me, ask your parents. If you are growing up outside of Igbo land, please, God himself supports you knowing your identity. Okay? It's important. Hey, Dwayne, I'm rounding off my class. I will be meeting you soon, okay?
No worries.
Okay.
I'll see you in a little bit.
All right. Good. So in today's class, we have been able to define how Igbo names work, but it is touching the topic I am introducing today, Ahịrịokwu Igbo. And why I brought this concept, this issue is, number one, I wanted to let us know that in Omenka app, we are documenting last names. Today, while you are writing your last name, I want to let you know that your last name is being documented in Omenka app. We are not just documenting the name and the meaning, we are also tracing where such names would have been named. Just like I said, Wokoye. There are names we have documented. Brothers and sisters, I must not lie you. Sometimes I cannot even pronounce them. But when you hear them, how they are pronounced and their meanings, you will just say, oh my God. What a wisdom. What a wisdom that our ancestors had. And all of this, we are being pushed aside. All of this, we are being painted black, painted with lies. And we grew up adopting those lies, running with them to the point of self rejection. That's why a person who comes from River State, Onyibo, Mobi, Opobo, will tell you they are not Igbo, Mob Delta States. Okay, so let's do our research while we come to the next class. We'll continue with our topic, Ahịrịokwu Igbo. If you do not have Omenka app, do yourself a favor, download the app. If you are learning, learn from the Igbo words. I need to check with my people whether the Igbo names are accessible to users now, but that is one work we are doing. We are documenting the Egwu Agbochie music, songs played back in the days, okay? And those songs are no longer in vogue. Behind and today, Shekyuku and all of that. If you listen to those songs that we are documenting, each one of them is a bundle of wisdom. Okay? And just like, yeah, somebody is saying Useku food, yes. I drew my attention. The word Useku, most of the times I find myself defining it for an Igbo. What does it mean, Useku? Is a core Igbo word that means kitchen. But today, in our world today, so many young Igbo people do not know what the meaning or what the name means. We think that kitchen is kitchen. Igbo has names for virtually everything that existed during our ancestral times. They did have names for them. No other language lends names to us, including our names. And we pray that we maintain this trend of consciousness and knowledge. And I will hope to see you here in the next week. Orobu, Orobu, I do not know what it means. I know Orebu. Somebody says, help us with the name Orobu. Orobu, Orobu, Oro. I'm thinking Ora Ebu. That's something that is close to my thought. I don't know. Does anybody know what Orobu means? Oso Eku, near the hearth of Chizi. You are you are a daughter of the soil. Oso Eku means near the hearth or stove, near the hearth. Hearth is Hearth. If you know what that means, Hearth is ebe a na-akwa ọkụ. Okay, Kanayo, I don't know what you mean. Is it the Orobu name? I don't know, but I don't know what that name is. If it is Orobu, okay. I want to encourage. I think in the next class I can invite people who want. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know that. He said I was told by my uncle, is it Jerry uncle, that is a collection of oceans. Okay. Oh, late uncle. Collection of oceans. All right, I learned that today. Thank you. Yeah, Chizi says it's not Orebu, he says it's Orobu or something. All right. I do not know that where it comes from. I would ask you to also do a research and find out really where that name comes from. Okay. Is Okanambra okay? And I don't know if you've had any other person answering the name. If not, you might dig a little bit to know why your family has the name. I want to appreciate all you that have been very consistent in attending class. Cheesy, well, my favorite student on YouTube, Beatrice, Jaja, I appreciate you. Seku Foods, Lady, Omonna, Doziako, Joy, and ndị niile si n'otu ndị nkụzi Igbo, unu gbaghara m na m soro bekee karịa n'ụbọchị taa, but that's really what happened. I want to appreciate all of you that did not just join but made the class very interactive. Kana Yochi, Crystal, all of you, I chill, love, I appreciate you. And especially those that, tapped on the screen, those that gave gifts on TikTok, you all are awesome. Cheesy in a kitchen, okay, in our church. Yeah, thanks for all the participation. Before I used to have students who used to spoil my register. Now I have students who are making me so proud. Thank you. Bikono, uno akwụsịla n'ịbịa class. Also do well by extending this information to our brothers and sisters so that we learn together whenever we come here. Kachibo, unu chetakwa ụmụafọ Igbo. Igbo si, onye atụrụ ilu kọwara ya. Unu ma ihe mere ego eji lụọ nne ya. Ego eji lụọ nne ya furu ọhịa, maọbụ ego eji lụọ nne ya lara n'iyi. Let us atụọrọ ọmara, atụọrọ ofeke, ofeba isi n'ọhịa. Let us learn and let us carry the wisdom of our ancestors. You will learn Igbo if you come in the next week, and you will continue to come, okay? Wendy, nice to have you here. See you on Monday. And on Sunday 5:30 p.m. and Monday 1 p.m. Eastern Time. All right.